This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, we now bring you a discussion on India's record food grain production and food security. The participants are JP Mishra, agriculture expert, and Nirendra Dev, journalist.
Mr. Mishra, it is a fairly satisfactory time we are in. You seem to be delighted too. The farm scene has shown revolutionary and record-breaking performance. Government or the National Conference on Agriculture on Kharif has set a higher target this time at 3,280 lakh tons. This is higher than what we are expecting production this year, 21-22. Of course, the strategy would be to increase the area through intercropping and crop diversification. What is your initial assessment of the entire situation? Where do you go from here?
If you see the normal growth last 4-5 years in the production, first of all, through your program, I must congratulate, compliment and say my best wishes to millions of farmers who have their untiring effort that have put the country on a map where we are leading in many of the commodities globally, and also we are second best globally in number of agriculture commodities. So all the credit goes to our hard-working farmers, along with the some very good policy decisions that have been taken, and also the technological support by our ICR, state agriculture universities and KVK system. So everybody has contributed, but largely it is the contribution of our great farmers. Secondly, if you see the normal growth trend of last 4-5 years, we are growing in terms of production, not in terms of value. In terms of production, around 4.5% annually. Yes. So given that trend, we have already achieved, as per the second advance estimate, we are already 316 plus. By the time you will see the fourth advance estimate, perhaps we may be touching 320 million ton. The target that has been set by the government is very much achievable, and it will be achieved, I believe so. On the second point, that how diversification and other activities, they will be well encapsulated within this framework. Yes. I will say that diversification is a complementarity in Indian agriculture. Because it is not that we are diversifying the entire area, but we are pushing where the productivity gain is much more achievable, like the eastern part of India, where the programs and initiatives like bringing green revolution in eastern Indian states, they are pushing the productivity gain in rice. But in northwest India like Punjab, Haryana and western UP, which are the major domain area of original green revolution, the diversification is towards reducing the consumption and over-exploitation of water in rice cultivation. So these are a mix and complementarity efforts of the government that will definitely lead to even higher production. I will say that whatever the target has been set forth in the national conference.
Crop diversification, as we have been talking, is not only essential from a farmer's perspective, but this will be vital even from trade balance perspective. We know India imports a huge quantity of edible oil from other countries like Malaysia, Indonesia and this region. I think we will agree that increase in oilseeds farming in India may help curb the edible oil imports. I would like to know what is your assessment on this complex matter.
We are importing close to 70% of our edible oil consumption. So any kind of diversification to that extent is not possible in Indian agriculture. So take it slowly, because you cannot diversify entire area at one go, because it has other dimensions also. There are many cottage-based and agriculture-based industries. They are settled in the major production area of those commodities which we are trying to diversify. You take cotton, you take rice mills in and around Haryana, Punjab. There are lakhs in number. So once you diversify entirely those areas, you have to have some raw material to run those industries. So diversification, I will say it should be vertical diversification. In terms of intercropping, you have mentioned, that is one very good option. Second is that we have certain unexplored areas where we must try to push the edible oil crops, especially the oil seeds. Like the rice fallows, we have close to 12 million hectare of rice fallows. Even if we can target one third of that rice fallow about 4 million hectares. That will add to substantially to our edible oil production. I will say that our focus must be edible oil rather than oil seed, because so far we have been too much reliance on soybean, which is a very low oil producing commodity as compared to groundnut and also as compared to rapeseed mustard. Perhaps that philosophy and that orientation we have to change a little bit. So we must move vertical diversification within oilseed group towards the more oil producing crops and commodities rather than more and more reliance on soybean. So that is my take on crop diversification.
As we are talking about higher production and other issues, we will agree this has been made possible this year by the farm sector, where there were multiple challenges. We had lockdown due to COVID, pandemic claimed so many lives, then there was farmers' agitation. I would like to know your assessment of the entire agri-scene management by the government, both at the center and the state level.
Right from the first lockdown that happened in 2020, agriculture sector was given the first preference in terms of COVID management, also in terms of input management, whether it is movement of machinery for harvesting. I recall when the first lockdown came, it was the harvesting time of wheat and other crops, and immediately the Home Ministry issued instructions to all the district collectors that the farm machinery, the combine harvester moving from Punjab, Haryana, Western UP to Northern India and also the further places in India should be allowed to move unabatedly. So that was the one positive signal that has trickled down well, and all the machinery movement took place. So barring few incidences of labor shortages for horticulture and plantation crops, the field crops didn't suffer, and farmers also moved out with the machinery and they harvested well. Similar was the instructions for the input movement, like fertilizers, release of water for irrigation, pesticide shops and other farm establishment units in the states, in the town, in the rural area. They were allowed to open without any hindrance. So that was the ecosystem that have been created by the government on the logistics side. Price front side, I will say that continuous giving the price escalation signals through continuous increase in the minimum support price has also proven to be one of the attractive options for the farmers work more and to relatively invest more. At least 50% of the PM Kisan Samman Nidhi is also being invested in the farm inputs, purchasing quality seed and fertilizer. So this kind of direct support to farmers that is also giving a boost to critical inputs application and investment in the farming. So it is movement of machinery, availability of inputs like fertilizers and plant protection chemicals in time, then direct income support to farmers for purchase of the other quality inputs, whether it is seed or micronutrient or fertilizers. They have all in a coordinated fashion, they are improving the agriculture productivity. So if you see the sown area is almost stagnant, it is not increasing on a very significant note, but the productivity is going up. Technology is playing its part, inputs is playing part, and government handholding of the farmers is also playing its crucial part.
So from here I have a related question that is on soil health card. This was certainly a long-term initiative taken by Prime Minister Modi ji in 2014-15. It was launched from Suratgarh in Rajasthan. The Prime Minister had given a slogan, Swasth Dhara Khet Hara, healthy earth, green farm on that line. Can you share your views on that?
Soil health card, I will say it is one of the few programs, I again repeat, that has targeted 100% all the farmers, all the farm holdings. So in Indian history, it is one of its kind program. Because whatever programs, development program was initiated previously, they were not targeting all the entire farmland or entire farm household. The two that has been initiated in the recent past is soil health card and also the PM Kisan Samman Nidhi. So that was unique program. It run very well. in terms of developing the information and also digitizing the soil fertility content, but its application for rationalizing the use of fertilizers and also economic blending and mix of fertilizer application is limited. Perhaps the next phase in soil health card scheme should target that, because we have already information about what is the status of soil fertility of a given locality. So the two options are available with us. First is that we need to customize the fertilizers on a micro level, maybe subdivision level, so that whatever micronutrient deficiency or major nutrient deficiency is reflected through soil health card in a particular subdivision or district, the customized fertilizers on those nutrients should be distributed through the channels in that district, number one. Number two, there have been reports in soil health cards that farmers have been overusing many of the nutrients. I know personally because I also conducted one of pilot testing of this soil health card in Haryana, two districts. One was Yamuna Nagar, where farmers have been applying zinc over and above the recommendation dose, and regularly they have been applying. So that kind of application also induces the deficiency of other plant nutrients, like over application of zinc induces phosphate deficiency. Even if the phosphorus is available in adequate amount in soil, but if you keep on applying more of zinc, that will develop the phosphate deficiency to the plant. So this kind of calibration should be the next phase target of soil health card scheme.
So this overall agriculture scene, we have problems. Some of them are, of course, man-made and some are natural. Like we have issues of fragmented land holding. We have issues like jhum cultivation in northeast. Then soil erosion, problem in agriculture marketing. What can be really done both at the government level, public sector and the private sector to improve the overall scenario?
There are 2-3 solutions for this. Number one, because the land holding is a structural problem. It is not a policy problem, neither it is not a kind of a program problem. It is a structural problem. So for that, and you also know the land is the most precious commodity for any individual in India. We have very much a close attachment with the land because son of the soil kind of sentiment always prevails on a land title. So the best way, and I will also say that with more and more confidence, because I have worked on the Model Act on Agricultural Land Leasing when I was in Niti Aayog. No farmer will accept compromising his physical boundaries. So pooling of land immediately, it may be possible after another 20-25 years, but as on today, pooling of land, absolutely not an option. So the only option left is pooling of produce. And the best option that we have, and there are very successful models available, is the farmers producer organization or farmer producers companies, whether they are registered under Company Act or they are farmed under the cooperative. That is the choice to be left to the farmers. But what is more important is more and more hand-holding with these farmer organizations, so that the success model is become apparent and visible to those who have not joined the farmer organization so far. Because there are very few farmer organizations which have proven success because of the better hand-holding by the government and also the entrepreneurship model that they have adopted. Perhaps that we have to move on a very faster scale. That is a structural issue that I wanted to mention. On price front, yes, because we have been over-reliance on procurement in some commodities and many have been left. That was an imbalance, and I often say that MSP is not an inclusive kind of activity. It has been limited to few commodities and few regions. But having said that, now the role of the market, we have to synchronize with the government options, and perhaps there are many models that may be replicated in agriculture.
Thank you, Mr. Mishra. It was wonderful talking to you on all issues food grain production in India.
You were listening to a discussion on India's record food grain production and food security. The participants were JP Mishra, agriculture expert, and Nirendra Dev, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official.